Nintendo and innovation seem to go hand in hand. You can look back in time to see how much the company has innovated. With the NES and Mario, the N64 and the Rumble Pack, the Wii and motion controls, and the Switch as a whole are just a few examples of how Nintendo changed the industry. But their innovating didn't start with consoles. In the 1980s, Nintendo, while making arcade machines, had their own handheld line in the Game & Watch series. They were doing well with their silver, gold, and widescreen games, but just 2 years on, Nintendo decided to double the fun and add another screen plus their most popular arcade game of all time to get this fantastic dual-screen gem. It's Donkey Kong Multi-Screen. The thing that satisfies me the most is that they went with the color orange to make this really stand out. Yes, I would have preferred blue, but I'll give Nintendo a pass as you can't deny how good it looks. I know my brother Alex can't shut up about it. This Donkey Kong G&W was released on June 3rd, 1982, as one of the first Game & Watches in the multi-screen series. On this wonderfully colored box, we can see what the handheld looks like, and we'll get to it in a second as there isn't really much to say or see about the rest of this box, other than the model number and that it was made by Nintendo in Japan, and it used to cost $2.99 at one point. I wish I could say I got it for that. Maybe if I scan the barcode it may come up to that price. Oh, who am I kidding? Let's just get the Game & Watch out and take a closer look at the handheld itself. At first glance, we see this nice gold plate that highlights the game, the line it belongs to, and the series it belongs to. But by opening this latch, we expose ourselves to a whole new dimension of fun. Multiscreen isn't just a fancy name, it is exactly what you get with this game that can also tell time. And I'm sure you noticed something familiar about it, and that's because this design would be revisited 22 years later with the Nintendo DS. Innovation is the word of the day, but re-innovation would later be the name of the game. Getting a closer look, we see the color combo of gold and orange working well with the Game & Watch logo looking good on the left. What's also looking good is this little cross controller that I'm unsure what it even is actually. Totally kidding, of course. This is the directional pad, or D-pad for short, and the Donkey Kong multi-screen has the distinct honor of being the first system of any kind to implement the cross-shaped controlling scheme. It came about as a design flaw as no other controller interface like a joystick, directional buttons, or a disc made the natural flow the devs were looking for. So Gunpei Yokoi made this cross shape that would soon become the industry standard we all know today. Such a revolutionary pad. Nintendo actually didn't know how revolutionary it would be. In fact, it took another year before Nintendo made a patent for it. A family computer must have helped that decision. Going past the cool Nintendo logo, we have the sole jump button that's very soft, easy to press, and also acts as the start button. Above it, we have a variety of buttons and other things. This button is Game A, which is a normal game, Game B is a tougher game of DK, and the time button displays the time as well as put the game on a track mode. These small silver buttons are used to adjust the clock and alarm separately. They can't be pushed with a finger, but it could with a thinner object like a pen or the back of a needle. Do try to not stab those. Who knows what would happen if you did. Start a little game and fire. Here's something you don't see every day. Components sticking out of the handheld. This is the part that connects the two screens together. I guess they didn't figure out a way to hide it without it being somewhat bulky until later with the Game Boy Advance SP or the DS. But it goes without saying, don't damage that at all. Nintendo made this warning to ensure you don't. The other screen doesn't have much to show other than screws, a cool logo for the game so you don't forget, and concave rectangles that'll fit in the control scheme when you close it. You can see now why they had to go with a D-pad, as there's no way a joystick would work with this, unless you put a hole there somehow. There isn't much left to show other than the back, which has those Nintendo-esque screws they don't want you getting into, a random square, more info about the handheld including this random number that I have no idea what it goes to, doesn't match any number here or on the box, could be because the box and game aren't a match, but that doesn't matter. What matters is the tiny battery compartment. This Game & Watch takes two LR44 silver batteries like most other G&Ws. It can last up to 6 months or to a full year depending on how you use it. Remember, it was meant to also be a clock after all. Nintendo also made it a point to make sure no children get to the batteries, as they give you these sticker seals to put over the compartment. The previous owner exhausted that, as you can see, and also resorted to common tape to fix that dilemma. Me being a big child and also a smart one, don't have to worry about that much. I'm lucky to have the compartment lid anyway. Those tend to get lost with most systems nowadays. They're so tiny it is understandable. Before we get back to some gameplay, let's look back inside the box to see the other paperwork that came with it. Other than the seals and take apart warning, we also have a caution paper about the batteries and liquid crystal display, and the ever important instructions that go over most of what I already explained. Mini Donkey Kong? You mean DK Jr. by chance? The lore breaks, so let's move on to some more gameplay. Donkey Kong on Game & Watch plays as you would expect. Climb to the top as Mario and rescue Pauline from DK. The only difference here is that there's no additional screens, you have just the one. To compensate, you must climb up 4 times and take apart the platform DK is standing on in order to truly save Pauline. The game never ends until you meet your doom 3 times, so try to rack up as many points by jumping over those barrels. Can only jump in certain places, however. I call that a dick move. This Donkey Kong game is no doubt an important piece of gaming history. It made many innovations with the D-pad and the multi-screen, and its legacy can still be seen in 2019 with the DS or the more current 2DS. It's only fair they call it dual screen because the Nintendo MS doesn't have a good ring to it. If you're able to find this Game & Watch multi-screen out there for a good price, it's absolutely worth picking up, so you can say you own one of the most revolutionary handhelds to ever come out of Nintendo's long line of handheld games. Or if you want a good version of Donkey Kong to play on the go, this would do good on that front as well. It's Donkey Kong Multi-Screen. While this truly was an innovation of its time, that's not to say all portable handhelds before this weren't innovative. I mean, when the handheld market was just getting started, it must have been neat to play any type of handheld game, no matter how primitive it may look today. It was the Wild West back then, as you could have been playing an interesting arcade port or your favorite sports game. And on the next episode, we'll take a look at one of the earliest popular handhelds of the 70s that let you play one of America's favorite pastimes right in your hands. If you think I missed anything, please leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others could get knowledge out of this, share this video. And if you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. Now, if you'll excuse me, nostalgia is calling.